Hello all, welcome to Angel School. So this is the Angel School logo and this is the profile with the counter button, and this is the master list of students present in the school, and this is the list of students selected for sports, and this is my footer with proprietary tag. So when I click on a button, a student will be selected, and when I click on the same student, an error is displayed saying the student is already added. I will add some more students. So you can see the students are added, and when I click on delete, the students gets deleted from the selected table, and a string will be displayed with no students are selected message. So this whole state management is written using Redux library. So let us go ahead and start writing the application. I'll create a new folder with the name Angel School. So this is the folder where I'm going to write the project. I'll right click on the folder and I'll open in terminal. So the terminal is open, and here I give the command code space dot. So it will open the project in VS Studio Code. This is my VS Studio Code application, and I'll click on terminal, and as you can see here, the terminal is opened in the folder that is created. Now here I'll try to create the project. For that I'll give a command npx space create hyphen react hyphen app space Angel School. So Angel School is my project name, and React takes some time to create the project. So my project is created. In the project explorer, you can see Angel School project is created in the folder Angel School. So let us browse our project. For that I'll give cd Angel School and I'll start the server. So the React server has started, and this is the welcome page of my application. Right now the content visible in the landing page belongs to this app.js. Now I'll create a folder called components inside source directory. And in the components folder, I'm going to create a React page called studentslist.js. So my page is created, and using the code snippet rfce, I'll create the skeleton content. So this is my skeleton content. Here I'll remove the student list and I'll write hello, welcome. So right now it is not reflected in the landing page. Now let me go to app.js. Here I'll remove the app.js content, and here I'll call my students list page. So React automatically imported my students list page here. So you can see here hello, welcome. Now it's time to install Tailwind CSS in our application. So for that I'll go to Tailwind CSS documentation, and these are the commands to install Tailwind CSS. So for that I'll copy the first command, I'll open the terminal, and I'll browse the project directory and paste the command here, and I'll run it. So Tailwind CSS is installed. Now I have to initialize the Tailwind CSS. For that I'll copy the second command, I'll run it here. So my Tailwind CSS is completely installed. Now as you can see here, a tailwind config.js file is created, and here I have to change the content as per the documentation. So I'll copy paste the content here, and then I'll import these commands in the index.css file. So I have copied the Tailwind CSS libraries and I have pasted in index.css file. So now here I'll test the Tailwind CSS. So for that I'll give class name and I'll try to put background color as red, but this is not applied yet. So for that I'll try restarting server once. So I have restarted the server and back in the browser I can see that Tailwind CSS is applied successfully. Now I'll start writing the CSS. So under the class name I'll remove bgred and then I'll give it a flex and then justify center and then items to be center so that they will be aligned in the middle of my div. And then I specify flex call. Here I'll take a navbar so that navbar will be written in this space. And for the navbar I'll open a class name and I'll specify height to be 5 rem here. And then background color to be light green color. So for that I'll use this color code. And then I'll specify width to be 100% and I'll declare it to be a flex and items to be center so that they will be aligned in the middle of the div vertically. And then I'll give justify between so that the logo and the profile menu will be placed with space in between. So I'll open one more div. So this is for writing the logo. So here I'll write as Angel School. So this is how my logo appears right now. And now I'll try to get the school logo. For that I'll go to hero icons and then type as school, and this is the logo I'm going to use. So I'll copy the SVG and paste the SVG in my React file. So I'll save this. This is how my app appears. So the logo and school are separated. So I have placed SVG in the wrong location. So I'll paste the SVG here and I'll save. As you can see, the logo followed by my app name exists. Now I'll style this. So for that I'll give a padding left of 10 rem and then I'll give text size to be text color to be white and then font to be bold and then text size to be 1.5 rem. And I'll give tracking wide so that there will be some kind of horizontal spacing between the letters, and I'll declare it to be flex and then I'll a gap of 1.1 rem. So now as you can see, the logo and my app name exactly looks like as in the original. Now I'll declare another div so that here the tables will be written. So I'll take here one div Now let us go ahead and code the profile one. So for that I'll go to hero icons and I'll search as profile. And I'll copy the SVG and I'll paste it in my application. So this is how my profile icon appears now. Now here we have to display the number of students selected for the sports. So I'll style this div. So I'll give a margin right property of 10 rem, so that space appears on the right side. And then let us style this count bar. So I'll go ahead and style this div. So I'll give background to be red, and then I'll declare it to be absolute position, so that I wanted to put it on top right corner. So when I declare child to be absolute, so I have to declare parent to be relative, so that it will be aligned with the parent with respect to the parent. So I'll give it to be rounded border, so I'll mention it to be rounded 50%. I'll give width of 1.5 rem and height to be 1.5 rem. And then I'll declare it to be flex, so that to align the text in the center of the div both horizontally and vertically. So this is how my count bar appears. And then I will give some top and right property, so that it will be aligned in the top right corner. So I'll give top property to be minus 0.75 rem and right property to be minus 0.75 rem. So this is aligned exactly as like I wanted. So this is our nav bar with our logo followed by app name and then profile. Now let us create the file for our input data. So for that I'll create a folder called input data, and inside input data I'll create a file called input data file.js. So here I'll write my JSON which is required for the project. So I'll copy the JSON and I'll paste here. So this is the JSON that I'm going to use for my project. This is the data I'm going to show in the tabular format, and from this list I'll select the students for sports category. So let us go ahead and do that. So here my list of various students comes. So let me go ahead and import my JSON file here. So for that I'll do import student list from input data followed by input data file. And then here I'll write the divs for my tabular format. So I'll take a div, and inside this div I'll take two more divs. So here I write a list of various students. I mean basically this is my master list which contains all the students information. here comes the students selected for sports. So I mean my list basically divides into two. One is a list having whole student information, and the other one is like people who are selected for sports. So let me go ahead and style this. So I'll give some padding through horizontal axis as 5 rem. As you can see, it has taken padding on both the sides. Now I'll style this. So I'll give it a 50% width, and I'll declare it to be a flex. Justify center. And I'll declare it to be a flex column, and I'll give a gap of 5 rem. I give some padding vertical axis so that there will be some spacing, and here my whole student information will be there. So that I'm going to do now. So for that I'll take a div, and in the first div I'll write list of various students. So this is the list which has all the students that are present in my JSON file. And the second one is the grid format. So here I'll take 5 divs so that they will contain the header information of my table. So one is ID, name, class, and then roll number, followed by action. So what action to be taken, whether this student has to be added to the sports quota or has to be deleted. So let me go ahead and style these components. So I'll specify it to be a flex, justify center, text size to be 2 rem, and then font to be bold. So this is how my heading appears, and let me go ahead and style this grid. So I'll specify it to be a grid with 5 columns, 5 equal columns. Grid calls 5 so that it divides my grid into 5 equal columns, and then BG to be light bluish color. And text to be black. So this is how it appears now. So let us go ahead and style these individual headers. So I'll give border to my cells, and then border color I'll give it indigo with stroke width of 600, and then border collapse so that the borders won't get added. So I'll apply the same property to all my divs. So this is how my table header appears. Now let us go ahead and write the code so that the data will be visible. So this is my data. So I'll write a map function here. So my input file has this students data. So instead of students, I'll rename it to student list. So here I'll write student list, and then it has an object students, which is an array, so that I'll map it in a iteration function, so that I can iterate over my map. So I'll take individual student as peep, and then I'll try to display my data. So here I'll take 5 divs, so that 5 particulars of a student can be displayed here. So first is an ID. Okay, since the student list is not present in my input file has the name of JSON as people. So what I'll do is, so here you can see this is with the name people. So what I'll do, I'll declare people as student list. So that the naming confusion won't be there. As you can see now, since I have written only one column, so that one column tries to fit into my 5 columns. So this is because we have written only one column as of now. So let us go ahead and write all the columns, so that this grid will be displayed properly. So done, my IDs are fit into one column. So let me go ahead and write all the columns here. So my data is displayed in the tabular format. So we have imported all the details of the student here. So this is how it appears. Now let us go ahead and style this data component. So here I'll take a class name. I'll give a background of thick blue color. So let me write all the CSS styling here with the different borders. So this is how my data appears. And here instead of action, let us implement plus addition and deletion sign. So for that I'll go to hero icons and I'll search for add, delete, and I'll copy the SVG. So I have pasted the deletion button here and search for add. So I'll copy the SVG for add and I'll paste here. And as of now I'll comment this. I'll explain it later once if the Redux part is over. So I have saved. Now you can see the addition and deletion button are appearing in the front end. So let me go ahead and style this properly. So I'll declare it flex and then flex around, justify around, so that they will be aligned with some space around them. So this is how it appears. So I'll write selected students later. So let me go ahead and write the footer part here. So div footer I have taken, and then let me style this once. So this is how footer appears in the front end. So here I'll apply a class name with a width of 100%, and then background color to light green. And then I'll take this footer to be absolute element, so that I'll attach it to the bottom of the page, so that I'll give bottom 0. So this is not working. Okay, it's a mistake, so it's a typo. So absolute I have done. So bottom 0 property I have applied, and it is attached to the bottom of the screen. I'll give a height property of 4 rem. So this is how it appears. Now let me align the text. So for that I'll declare a flex, justify center, and the items to be center. And I'll apply the extra bold property to the text. So I'll remove text here, and here I write all rates reserved, full stack learner 2024. So this is how it appears. So let me go ahead and change the text color to white. So for that I'll mention text to be white. So that's it. This is how my footer appears now. So this is my, now it's time to write important Redux part. So under the src folder, I'll create a folder called Redux, and inside my Redux folder I'll create different files. First I'll create a file redux action.js. So this is for my Redux action, and then I'll write redux reducer.js, redux type.js. So this is the file which contains what type of actions going to be performed. And I'll create one more file, redux reducer.js. So this is a reducer function which manipulates the state, and then store.js to store my to write the store details, and the combine reducer.js, so that it carry forwards my reducer to the state. Now in Redux type, I'll declare two fields. One is addition and the another one is deletion. So for that I'll put export const add and export const delete. So basically I'm going to perform two operations. One is addition of the student under the sports category and deletion of the student from the sports category. So here I'm going to write two actions. One is for addition and the other is for deletion. So here the input will be my ID of the child, and here I'll return the action type and the action payload. It's an object, so type will be addition add and payload will be ID. So I do the same for deletion also. So I'll modify it to delete. So this is my action is done. Now I'll go to the reducer. So I'll declare the initial state first. So I'll declare initial state object, and inside the object I'll declare students array. So these are the students which are going to be selected in the sports category. So this selection of students in the sports category will be done through Redux state management. So I'll create a reducer called student reducer, and in that I'll initialize it to the initial state followed by action. So I'll declare a switch case. One is for addition and the other for deletion. Oops, it should be action. Usually variables should not start with caps lock. So here under the switch case I'll take action.type. So there will be two action types for me. One is addition and the other for deletion. So first let me go ahead and case add addition. And the other case is for deletion. So case delete and the default case. So let me go ahead and write these different scenarios. The first one is for addition. So here basically if we click on a student, it has to be added to the student list. If we again click on the object, so it should not add again. Duplication should not be there. So if I'm clicking for the first time, it has to add. If I click on the second time, it should not add. So that condition. So for that condition, I'll check whether if the student exists in the student sports category list or not. So for that I'll take a variable as id exists false, and then I will iterate over the students list which is stored in the state. So I'll iterate over the student list to find if the student ID is there in the list or not. So this action.payload is basically an ID which we have written in action.js. So here if the student exists, then update my id exist boolean to true. Means the student is already present in the sports list, so we should not add him again. So if the student does not exist, then we have to search, we have to get this student from the master list based on the ID. Otherwise, if the student already exists, we should not alter the state. So for that I will give a alert memo telling the student has already been added. Student is already added. Hence, I will not alter the state. I will return the state as it is. Return state. But if the student does not exist in the list, then we have to add him to the state so that my state get updated and it will be displayed. So for that, first let me import the master list from my input data file. So I will iterate over the master list and I will extract the student object. So I'll take a variable new student. So I'll pass this extracted object into the newly created new student variable. So if the student exists, if means the peep.id is equal to action.payload, means if the both IDs matches, then pass that student object into my newly created new student variable. And then add him to the state so that the state gets updated and the student details will be displayed in the sports category. So that's it. My addition reducer is done. And then let me go ahead and write the functionality for delete. So here I am going to filter the students. So this is basically a deletion operation, means the student with the ID should be deleted from the list. Means I will only filter out the students who are not matching with that ID, so that the student with the ID is already will be already filtered from the list. So I write that condition here. So whenever the student ID does not match with my payload ID, only filter those students. Means the ID matching student will be filtered out automatically and my state will be updated. So if there is no ID matching, then there won't be any change in the state. So this combine reducer method will be used in order to combine all the reducers and pass them to the store. Since we have only one reducer here, we don't have any problem. But in real world examples, in real time projects, there will be lots of different reducers which are to be joined. So that is why we use combine reducer. So here I'll copy my student reducer and I'll pass it on to a name called add_del, which is for addition plus deletion. So my root reducer is ready, which in turn contains add_del object, which is nothing but my student reducer. So in the store, so I'm going to pass my root reducer. So before doing that, let me install Redux Thunk and Redux Logger. So npm install Redux Thunk. This Thunk and Logger is for state updations. So when a state is updated, we can view in the console about our previous state and the next state. So I'll also install Redux Logger. So let me go ahead and import. So first let me import legacy create store as create store. And then apply middleware. And then let me import my root reducer from the combine reducer file which we have created just now. And let me import my Thunk from Redux Thunk library. Import logger from Redux Logger library. So I'll declare the store. So I'll use the function create store, and I'll pass my reducer. In the apply middleware function, I'll pass thunk and logger, so that my store will be created. So I'll export default store so that it will be visible. So inside my index.js, here we are going to use the store. We are going to pass the store to all the components. So here I'll remove this react.strict mode tags, and I'll wrap my app component under provider. So this provider is a library. It is used to provide the state to all the components. So I'll import provider from Redux. So as of now, there are no errors in the console. So I'll pass the store. So for that, let me go ahead and import the store first from my store.js file. So I'll declare the store here. So this is the store supplied to my provider component. Now let me go into my student list file, and here let me import some of the hooks which are required for my state usage. So I'll import use dispatch and use selector hook from my Redux. Use dispatcher is to dispatch the action, and use selector is to get the value in the store. So I'll also get my actions from my Redux action.js. So I have two actions there, addition and deletion. I'll import them here. So I imported all the hooks and functions. So let me go ahead and get the state value. So I'll create a variable called pupil, and I'll get the state from the using state selector hook, that is use selector, and my store, from the store my reducer is add del, and in that I am trying to get the students object which I have declared. So I'll declare a dispatch and I'll pass on use dispatch method, use dispatch hook. So let me save this. I can see some errors in the front end. So here people was not found, in student is not defined in reducer. So let me go ahead on my reducer. Here student is not defined, line 27. Oops, here it should be a dot, so state dot object, it should not be a comma. So let me save this, and then default import is not working in Redux reducer in the line 20. So yes, so I have imported the people as an object, so it worked for me. And then let me go ahead and style this student selected for sports table. So here I'll write two divs, one is for heading and the another is for my grid. So here I'll write list of students selected for sports, so this is how it is written. So let me go ahead and style the component. Here I can see some error, add del, returned undefined. So it is a spelling mistake. So let me remove this and modify this add del. So this is how it appears. Still it gives me error. And this is my reducer. And inside reducer I have add, I have delete, and then yeah, I can see here there is no condition written for default. So let me go ahead and return my state as it is in case of default. So it worked. So this is how my UI appears. And let me go ahead and style the selected students category. So I'll give a width property to 50% and I'll declare flex call items to center and then gap of 5 rem. So this is how it appears now. So let me go ahead and style this heading. So I'll declare font to be bold and then text to be 2 rem. So this is how it appears now. Now let me go ahead and style the grid. So I'll take 5 divs here as part of my tabular heading. So one contains ID and the other contains name, and the other contains class, and then roll number. So this is how it appears right now. So let us go ahead and style this component. I'll specify class name to be grid, and then grid calls 4, so that 4 columns will be there. And then background to be light blue. And then text color to be black, and then width to take 70%. So this is how it appears now. So let me go ahead and style the heading. So I'll specify the text to be semi-bold, and then padding to be 1 rem, text to center, and then border to have 1 pixel width, border indigo 600, and then border collapse. So this is how it appears. So let me go ahead and style this CSS for all my headers, table headers. So done. This is how my table header looks like. So let me go ahead and write for my data. So when there are no students selected under the sports category, hence when my people.length is 0, I have to display a default message. So when my selected category length is 0, then display a div. I'll show empty braces here. So I'll take a ternary operator here. So inside my div, I'll display a text, no student. No students are selected. So this is how it appears when no students are there in my state. So since it is written under one div, so it tries to fit in the first column. So in order to avoid that, I'll give call span of 4 so that it spreads across all the 4 columns, and text color to red, text center, and then BG to this color. and padding and text color to red and font to be bold. So this is how it appears when there are no students selected. So let me go ahead and write the condition for when students exist in the state. I mean when the buttons are clicked and students are updated in my state item. So I'll iterate over pupil map and I'll try to display it here. So that logic I'm going to write here. So this return should have angular braces because it is trying to return a HTML. So I'll take 4 divs here so that it accommodates ID, name, class and roll number. I'll declare here peep.id, peep.name, peep.class followed by peep.roll number. So as of now I have not given the addition functionality. So let us go ahead and uncomment these lines of code so that the addition and deletion dispatch methods are called. So I uncommented this. So this is dispatching addition method, this is dispatching deletion method. So let me go ahead and test. Now as you can see, when I click this, the data being added to the selected student list. So let me go ahead and style these divs. I'll apply background color. Then border. And then text to be center. And then border collapse. So this is how it appears. So let me go ahead and copy this style and paste it for all my divs. So this is how my data appears. So as you can see, when I try to add the same student who is already added to the sports category, system will not allow me to add again. So when I click, as you can see, okay, let me update my counter there. So for that I'll go to the notification bar, and here I will put the real-time data. I'll get the pupil object and I'll display the length of the object from the state. So as you can see now, since 3 items are there on the list, 3 items are appearing here. If I add one more, so my state is updated perfectly. So when I click on delete, so my student is getting deleted from the state, hence he will be disappear from the selected category table. And when I may refresh, my state disappears. So in the console, when I click on add, as you can see, previous state is shown here, which is having 0 objects, and the next state is shown, which is having 1 object. Since we have clicked, the student is added to the object. So this is how we can view the state before and after. So this is happening through our Thunk logger. So this is the final layout of our application. So when I click on delete, the item is getting deleted, and when there are no students available, no students are selected, it was shown in red color text. That's it, folks. So this is how we can manipulate the state by using Redux. Let me go ahead and style the heading for my various students table, master table. So here I'll put padding to be 1 rem, and let me copy paste. So as you can see, 1 rem space is applied. So let me copy paste and add for all the headers. So this is how it appears.